Hi. So about 40% people have lost their jobs since the lockdown began. 17 to 18% of them were the salaried class, the rest were the self-employed ones. For the self-employed one, things have started to move a little bit with unlock period as it unfolded. However, when the economy was already in a very bad shape before, so for the salaried class, things are not looking so bright. There are three pieces of information that should justify, at least to an extent, the theme, the topic of this particular video. People who have lost their jobs were not the ones who were costing most dearly to the company, and some of these companies, they don't even exist any longer. They have folded up. So the three pieces of information are the ones that you will see the connection between them as we go ahead. The least earning category are the team leaders. They earn the least. At least 15% more are the salaries of the supervisors, and then the middle management group that earns about 50% more than the supervisors. They have a very responsible job, but the power of taking decision does not lie with them, and it actually lies with the MDs and the CEOs, the top management group, who earn around 70% more than the middle management group. See the difference between the team leaders and the top management. It's baffling. And it is, why is it baffling? Because it lies only, not if not only, India is one of those top only 5 countries. You can check out on the websites. This information is in the public domain, that India is among those 5 countries, the only 5 countries where the gap is so high. Even the top performing economies, they don't have this gap between the middle management and the top management more than 15 to 20%. But here it is almost up to 56%. Now this has been found out through researches that are done. With USA, the average gap is 10%. With India, it is 56%. And there are at least 2 or 3 countries who have higher gaps, like Qatar and Bahrain. We're not even talking about them because the better performing economies that don't completely depend on oil, they don't have such gaps. People who justify this gap, they justify on the basis of responsibility as much higher. But what responsibility are we talking about? People who hire them, people who hire the CEOs, they usually, it has again been found by Genome CEO research. You can again go on the net and find out what I'm talking about. There are board of directors who decide how much salary a CEO or an MD would get, and they usually get taken in by the charisma of that particular person who they ultimately choose to be the CEO, and they are taken in by the degrees that these people earn from some of the top universities. However, even if these CEOs or MDs are chosen, they don't match up to certain other CEOs and MDs and owners of more successful companies. So the element X comes from the passion of doing the right thing, of making changes, of taking the right decision and at the right time. And there's so many of them that we'll talk about later on. But what has been found out is that even though the board of directors choose the top management based on these two factors, the ones who prove to be more capable are the ones who have these two qualities. The successful CEOs show consistency. They don't just take their company higher in terms of profit once, they do it more almost all the time. It's pretty much like a cricketer who would score when he comes on the field. You just don't call one hit wonders as wonders. So there has to be consistency. There has to be consistency in terms of performance. So the first point, the first factor is consistency in maintaining high performance. There has to be no trade-off between charisma and high performance. If you can't take your company at a higher place than before, if you can't make it grow for 3 consecutive quarters, you are not performing. Yeah. So the very fact that certain companies have shown profits while certain companies have not, they have even folded up while their peer group have thrived, have performed, is a fact that you've not taken the right decision. Now, there are 3 or 4 types of CEOs that we see, and you can easily sift through them and labeling them, judging them to an extent, although judging people is not the right thing. But when you're talking about money, when you're talking about strictly about employment, when you're talking about economy, you've got to judge them because you're paying them. All right, so there are MDs and CEOs that are basically of 3 types. You have your defensive CEOs. The first thing that they will do is to do some major layoffs in their company, and it has been found out by the same research that I was talking about, that such people have only 11% chance of bouncing back when the economy gets okay. So basically 89% chance of being a consistent loser when the economy bounces back. You are never going to have your demand back if you just focus on layoffs. Because I don't know whether they understand or not, but they should, that the quality is compromised when you do layoffs. The training and money and time that goes into cultivating your manpower is suddenly gone forever. So this is the most stupid CEO who would just go for layoffs. The lesser sin is to choose a guy who would do cost cutting at other places as well. These people have 21% chance of making it in the industry when the demand comes back. These are the people who would do cost cutting everywhere. Chindi chor, right? So they will do that, and what in the process they will shrink their ability to such an extent that when the economy suddenly bounces back, and it happens all of a sudden, they are not going to adjust, because they have a very they've got this tunnel vision, they've got a very limited approach, exposure, so they are not able to basically maneuver their way through. The second category is the aggressive sort. They need to understand these people, because they're aggressive. They behave they have the status quo. They are in the status quo zone. When things change, like the pandemic, the sharp slowdown of the economy, things have changed. You got to recognize this, things have changed, so you've got to make the changes. What kind of changes that you make will differentiate you from the make or break situation. So the aggressive people are the ones who would continue to go for promotion, who would continue to hire people, and this is going to be an unsustainable model. This CEO or this top management definitely has higher chances of succeeding when things get okay, around 27%. Please go and check the Genome CEO project research. that's going to be enlightening. They are going to talk about things in greater detail. Of course, I have gathered information from very many other different sources, and I was intuiting it even on my own. It's just that you get your numbers when you check out these projects or researchers, right? So these are the this category has 27% percent chance of succeeding when things get okay. And then the cost cutting, people who are obsessed with cost cutting as the only way of moving forward or making changes, has 26% chance. And this, the person who just sees doing layoffs as the only way to surge ahead, has 11% chance. One of the best category that is considered is the one of progressive CEOs. They do recognize that things have changed. So what they do, they bring about operational efficiency. What does operational efficiency means? Of course, cutting cost where it is needed. You cut down your wastage, you cut down your reworking, you shift to a less expensive location. If you can't manage with the existing manpower, slash their working hours and make changes in the remuneration accordingly. You can outsource your services. You can make tie-ups with bigger companies or outside companies, and make your employees associate with them, pretty much like event management. You do the marketing of the skills and services that you were managing all on your own earlier. I'm just talking about the service industry now, but then it can be done at various different levels and for various different industries. So operational efficiency is the best thing that you can do. If you are into food industry, mobile kiosk could be a great thing. Like a McDonald's could run their van and bring it to people at their doorsteps. They don't have to travel all that much. And in that way, of course, these people are phone call away. But then this is really going to help even for the pedestrians. They're going to it's an innovative way to increase your sale. Then you have to go for high innovation. You have to, like, for let's take example of the radio industry, which really shrank this time. So there are channels, there are radio stations in certain part of US who ventured into news, who were doing some really relevant talk shows, and all on the digital platform. Because let's face it, people these days listen to radio when they are traveling, when their hands are busy driving. But when you're at home, you end up checking your mobiles. So everything should have been turned into a digital, brought on a digital platform. And a better quality speaker would have made all the difference. There are such low quality YouTubers, but they could have introduced their own digital platform, and they could have also associated, excuse the noise that's coming from outside, so they could have done that. And then of course diversification is something that I've already spoken about. So basically CEOs who can't perform are the ones who don't exactly deserve to get the job that they enjoy, because with gains comes greater responsibility. If you are not able to perform, you should be the first one to leave. And all these fears that that companies have, that they will not get better skilled person, an equal talent, is unfounded. Because even for those people who are drawing a hefty amount, jobs have become scarce. So take bold decision, board of directors, axe the jobs of those CEOs who could not bring you profit. The real litmus test of the CEOs and the MDs is at around this time. All right. Plus, there are Fortune 500 companies in which the CEOs, the MDs, the top management group have given up almost 20% plus of their own salary, so that the rest of the things, the rest of the system could have been maintained, and an equilibrium could have been established. So this is one part of it. The second part of it was like the top management group. I'm going connecting it with the government, the economy of the country. It's not been performing well. Who's the CEO here? Now that person should be axed. His or her job should be axed without taking names. If you are, when the I'm just giving an example, when the petrol costs you 18 rupees, you have ended up making the price, the taxes on petrol, on fuel, highest in the world, almost up to 70%. How are you going to keep the cost of production low, so that things could be exported out, the demand could rise? You are doing all counterproductive things by increasing the price of the petrol, because that's going to reflect in the cost of production. Your products are going to get expensive. They are not going to get buyers outside the country. They are not going to get buyers inside the country, because these people are going to go for a cheaper substitute. And that's how you're going to douse the economy. Then all that talk of the stimulus package, it looks just a drama. It just looks like an eyewash. So I don't know what exactly is going on. The country's economic head should come clean on this one, because it really doesn't make sense. You can't be congratulating yourself for befooling the citizens by making things really difficult on one part, and then telling them that we are going to make things easier for you by giving you some kind of a support in terms of investments. So that's really not happening. That CEO should also go. Okay, thanks. Bye.